produced that.
I read in a, I think it was Southern Living magazine, about 6 months ago. There's a man up in, I think, South Carolina or North Carolina that makes mats and bowls out of pine straw. It was just a small article, and that's the first time I've read anybody else other than around this area making anything out of pine straw.
You know, speaking of your mother, Bill, having made that, your mother, which you know, we have some videotapes on her, and she lived to be, what, 100 more? 100. And she was very closely associated with the school all of her life.
Yes, knew Miss Johnson very well.
And went into the East to teach at one of Mrs. Johnson's schools.
Yes, he taught up in Greenwich Village for 1 year. One of the things that impressed me about the Greenwich Village area that she taught was the various children that she had. She taught the rich people, and she taught the little Italians and other immigrant children that came in, and they'd be out in the schoolyard playing, having a time, and the little rich children, the people wouldn't let them go out and play. I guess they're afraid they'd get dirty or something. And Mother always felt sorry for them, because they were sitting there watching the other children out in the yard playing. But she taught up there for 1 year, and then she taught in Chicago area, I believe, for a while. I don't remember what school it was. But she knew Miss Johnson way back in the beginning, and Miss Johnson lived with her grandparents for a short time.
So you were very fortunate that you had not only Mrs. Johnson's philosophy in school, but you had your mother, who was also organic, and I'm sure Leonard must have been too.
Yeah,
So
Dad was to a certain extent, but not too much, because he was farming so much, he really didn't get involved in it near as much as Mother. But I know Mother used to help at the Thursday luncheons in Cummings Hall. Mother's is Ms. Hazel Payne. She came here in, I think, I don't remember, the late 1890s, somewhere along in there. She lived here for a while, and then she moved to California when her mother remarried and was out there for I think about 7 years or something. Then she moved back here, and she's been here all the time. And she just died last year at 100.
We have a lot of good documents in writing on your mother.
Yes.
And then, of course, you had a sister who went to the school.
Yes. Sister was 8 years older than I was.
You know, Bill, go back a minute to your school days, and in your play, do you remember how much freedom that you had in all of the life classes and in kindergarten to have what we would call free play?
Well, it was free play, the recesses we had, and we also had a lot of free time, and especially in the lower classes, kindergarten and first life, I remember, down in the wonderful building at the south end of the campus. We had a lot of pine trees and other trees, and we could go out there and play in the woods, and also learn about the birds and the animals out there. And I just hate to see the building not being there anymore, and all the trees and the campus like it is. But I guess a lot of people say that's in the name of progress, but sometimes I wonder which way progress is going, forward or backwards. Because we've got a big problem in the world right now in the environmental area.
And don't you think those of us who had the philosophy are more aware of the need of our environmental problems, of what we need to do to reverse this?
I don't know if we're more aware of it, but I think we're as much aware of it, or maybe more so than a lot of the other people that are not. Because I don't know, it was freer, as I said, an easier life. We learned more about nature, learned more about other things, in addition to our regular classes that we got. So it was an all-around education, just wasn't the book work, it was everything involved in it. And I just feel sorry for some of the people who are going through school nowadays. that don't have the opportunity we do. Because you can talk to them and you explain things that you did, and they can't visualize that you did that and got your schooling in at the same time.
Which made you a much better rounded
I
person.
think it all around it did, and it made you appreciate life better, I believe.
You know, speaking of the free play, as you know, I was associated for years with the whole program. Even though we had all this free play, we weren't conscious that there was an adult watching us. I'm sure you weren't.
No, never occurred to me.
But there always was one, very much in the background. But we were being observed by a faculty member or an assistant all the time we were at free play. And the main purpose of that was, well, to evaluate the children, to understand how they were adjusting socially, but also to watch to see that there was never a bully in the group that was being unfair. That's the only time we were asked as teachers to interfere with the free play. But you weren't conscious of that, nor was I at the time.
No, I guess now that you mentioned, I look back on some of these activities and recess or whatever we were engaged in, and I do remember now that there was always somebody in the background alongside present. And I thought that was just, part of it. It never did dawn on me that they were there for a purpose other than they were there to watch us. But it was a wonderful experience, it really was, and I enjoyed the whole life, the whole schooling, and I enjoyed the education I got. I think I got as good an education as anybody else. And I think better than a lot of the education that the children are getting nowadays, with the exception of some of the higher math and computers and other classes that are being taught now that we didn't even know about back in our days. But all in all, that was a wonderful experience.
Well, in this wonderful interview, it certainly impresses me that, Bill, you are very happy that you had the kind of a growing up and schooling that you had.
Yes, I think I had a real good life. I enjoyed it.
And I want to thank you very much for giving us your time.